I'm live at the College of William & Mary's, where we're located. My name is Al Jackson. I'm on the board of the Middle Resolution, and I'm here with Ed Gillespie, who's running for governor of Virginia. And behind me are wonderful students here at William & Mary, the College Republicans of William & Mary. The campus that we're on was established in 1692 and one of the country's oldest collegiate institutions. In fact, Thomas Jefferson entered these walls here at the age of 17. So we have some real great history here. This is where the movement for freedom began, right here in Williamsburg, Virginia. So we're grateful to be here. As I said, I'm with the Middle Resolution. We are committed and dedicated to promoting constitutionally conservative principles across all levels of government. We're focused here primarily in Virginia. We've had an opportunity to thoroughly interview all the candidates who are running for governor on the Republican side of the aisle, and we've come to the conclusion that Ed Gillespie is the man, and that we are pleased and super excited to endorse you as the next governor of this great state. We're going to do everything we can to help you, so congratulations.
Thank you, Al, so much. I really appreciate it. I'm honored by the Middle Resolution support. I appreciate your leadership and the thought leadership that you provide, bringing together conservatives who share these principles of limited effective government based in our Constitution. And I will be a governor who will govern by those principles. And I know that those principles translate into policies that will create jobs, raise take-home pay, help people lift themselves out of poverty, and create more opportunities for young people like those we're here with today when they enter the workforce. And we need that right now in Virginia.
All right, we appreciate that very much. I want to ask you a question about your campaign. You put together a wonderful campaign staff, and that's one of the reasons we endorse you, because we feel like you've surrounded yourself with people that are going to help you win. Tell us a little bit about your campaign in terms of, is there one instance that you can recount today that because you've traveled all over the state, you've met with a myriad of people, quite a few people actually, and is there one instance that sticks out in your mind that really highlights the importance of this race?
Well, there's a number that come to mind. One in particular, you know, when you're in Southwest Virginia, in coal country, and you see the devastation of the policies of the past 8 years and the impact that's had on our coal miners. And when I travel, I generally stay in people's homes. I like to spend the time and get to know people a little bit better, and it also saves the campaign a little money, and we're careful with how we spend our donors' dollars. But I remember staying at a home in Richlands, and the morning, get up, had a cup of coffee ready to hit the campaign trail, and the couple I was staying with wanted to introduce me to a gentleman who was working there at their home on their, edging the lawn and doing some odd jobs around the house. And I got to talk to him about my age, 3 children like Kathy and I have, and he was a laid-off coal miner. And I admire him immensely and respect him. He was feeding his family and working odd jobs and doing things like that. But I'm going to guess from our conversation that he was making about 1/3 of what he was making in the mines. And we've got some areas where there's high unemployment as a result of some of these policies, Southwest Virginia, South Side still. And really all across the Commonwealth, our economic growth has been anemic for 5 straight years. And I see the effects of that when I talk to people. Wages have been stagnant, prices have gone up, and costs have gone up for college, for healthcare, for housing, for food, and people feel squeezed. And there's not enough opportunity, economic opportunity, because our growth rates for 5 straight years have been below the national GDP rate. We used to always be above it. And we've been falling. We're, 5 years ago we were #1 on the CNBC list of best states for business. Now we're not even in the top 10. We fell most recently from number 12 to number 13. And I know that the policies that I'm putting forward and that I'm running on, based on our shared principles, will get Virginia growing again and will benefit all Virginians. And I will be a governor for all Virginians. That's what's in my heart. That's what my policies will do. And but I meet people all the time. But when you ask me a question like that, that's one that comes immediately to mind. A laid-off coal miner in Southwest Virginia.
That's great. It's really cool being here with you tonight, because this state needs some principled leadership, and that's what you provide. That's why we're so excited to be on your side. And so what I'd like to do, if it's okay with the College Republicans, I'd like to turn the time over to you all to ask a question or two of Mr. Gillespie. Does anybody have a question? Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. It really means a lot. I know a big issue that concerns us all is transportation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I guess my question is, how would you solve the huge transportation problem that the Commonwealth faces, and what do you prioritize? Because like I'm from the Hampton Roads area,
Yeah.
and I know that there's the big last year, it was like hundreds of millions of dollars for a
Yeah.
light rail for a couple of miles, and it really didn't jive with the needs.
Yeah.
So I guess how would you solve the transportation issues?
Let me, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my back and I'm answering you, but I'm also going to answer on Facebook Live. Transportation is a huge issue. It's an economic growth issue for us as well. In Southwest Virginia, it's an economic growth issue because we need more infrastructure there. We need more roads connecting Southwest Virginia to other parts of the Commonwealth, and so it's really economic lifeblood. Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, congestion relief. You know, it's a quality of life issue, but that's also economic growth. It's hard to attract businesses. You know, if people are saying, well, my employees are going to be commuting, you know, for an hour and 15 minutes, and that makes it tough. And so we need congestion relief and we need infrastructure investment. I think we've got to, you know, be smarter how we spend our transportation dollars, make sure we're prioritizing them right, prioritizing them for priorities like economic development and congestion relief. We divert a lot of transportation dollars to things that, you know, kind of feel good but don't actually have that impact on quality of life, and we need to make sure we get our priorities straight. There are other things that we need to do as well, and you know, there are some reforms that I've been looking at. One of the things I do, and one of the things that's exciting to me about a governor's race, is you get to learn from other states. You know, the founders saw, you know, the states as the laboratories of democracy, and I look at what other governors have done, and one of the things I was struck by is, you know, in Florida, Governor Rick Scott, he is able to have certain accounts in the transportation budget there where they take federal money, and I'll take all the federal money we can. One of the things we need to do is get more of our transportation dollars that we send to Washington, D.C. back into Virginia and be able to spend it as we see fit. But in Florida, they have certain accounts where the federal money goes into and certain accounts where there's no federal dollars. And they're able to move that money faster and get it into paving roads and get it out the door and get projects, you know, going in a much quicker way. And I like the innovation of that. There are some other innovative solutions that some states have deployed in terms of, you know, traffic management and also, frankly, how to mitigate rubbernecking delays and things like that on 95. And I spent a lot of time on 95, 81, 64, and so you know, I know exactly what we're talking about in terms of the congestion relief. And there's some other things in terms of reducing demand, you know, encouraging more telework and telecommuting, getting more of the 18-wheelers off of 64 both ways. There's some things we can do by increasing and making it easier for barge traffic to get up the James from the Port of Virginia to the Richmond Marine Terminal. So I'm going to put forward a transportation plan just like I put forward my cutting taxes for all Virginia plan, and regulatory relief and education reforms, and I think our fellow Virginians are going to embrace these innovative approaches to transportation policy here.
Very good.
Great question.
Great question. Do we have any? Yes, sir.
Yeah, with the new Republican healthcare plan in Congress, what are your thoughts on that and how it would affect Virginians, especially young people?
So I'm still looking at it. It's moving through. I think they're going to vote next or tomorrow, from what I understand. But I do have some concerns relative to. I do think, you know, obviously the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, has been awful in terms of its impact and on out-of-pocket expenses and costs, on economic opportunities and job creation and job growth. A lot of people working full-time instead of part-time instead of full-time. So I do want to see it repealed and replaced. You know, I'm concerned we've been fiscally responsible here in Virginia. The fact is that despite Governor McCall fighting time and time again to expand Medicaid here in the Commonwealth, to take the Medicaid expansion, which I don't believe was the right policy, and I'm glad the Republicans in the General Assembly didn't enable him to do that. But as you look at the approach that I saw initially, you know, states that did expand and states that are much more profligate in their spending in the Medicaid program on the state side, they're rewarded for that, and states that have been fiscally disciplined and responsible are not, and in fact in some ways punished. Now I'm hopeful that will be fixed as the legislation moves through Congress. But that's, you know, I look at everything through a prism of how does this, you know, affect my fellow Virginians. And if I were governor, what would I say? And if I were governor, I would say to our congressional delegation, and they're aware of this and they're on to it, you know, we need to make sure that Virginia is not punished for having been fiscally responsible when it comes to the Medicaid expansion and our 50-50 split with the federal government on Medicaid spending.
Thank you for that question. You know, Ed, we're going to summarize here by, I'm going to give you the last word, but before I do, I want to reiterate why this is so important to the Middle Resolution. We really appreciate your position on individual liberty. We love the fact that you are a promoter of school education choice.
Yes.
We want to empower our parents to have decision-making authority on how they use the tax dollars to put their kids in private school, public school, charter school,
Homeschool.
Homeschool, what have you. And we like the fact that you are a big advocate for taking power back from DC and giving it back to the people of Virginia where it belongs. So with that being said, I'm going to let you have the last word to say goodbye to our Facebook friends and one last parting word.
Well, Al, thank you so much, and thank you all. Great to be with the tribe today, and appreciate your giving me some time as well, and good to be with all of you. This is a critically important race. We're at a critical juncture in Virginia. The fact is that the next governorship is going to set the course for the next 20, 30 years in terms of what kind of an economy we're going to have. Are we going to have economic opportunity and upward mobility like we have, or are we going to stay stuck, which we have been for 5 straight years now? Our economic growth has been anemic for 5 straight years, and nothing's going to change unless we change it. And that's why I'm putting forward a plan that will benefit all Virginians, starting with my across-the-board tax cuts of our rates at the individual level, which have not been lowered since they were created in 1972. 45 years, those rates have remained the same while other states around us have become more competitive. We've got to get our economy going again. We've got to create more opportunities. And if you go to my website, edforvirginia.com, if you want to go to edforvirginia.com/tax cuts, you can learn about this very responsible plan, phasing in over 3 years and a 10% across-the-board cut in our individual tax rates that will result in nearly $1,300 into the pockets of the average family of 4 in Virginia to spend as they see fit. And so many families are stressed between stagnant wages and higher costs for health care, college, food, and housing. This will provide some much needed relief. It will make us more attractive for retirees to stay in Virginia, create more opportunities for those graduates from our high schools and our colleges. In fact, according to an econometric analysis, and fully implemented, this plan would create over 53,000 full-time private sector jobs in the Commonwealth. That's a 25% increase over current projected job creation. So I'm looking forward to being a governor for all Virginians. I wage my campaign to all Virginians, and my policies will benefit all Virginians, and I am very appreciative of the Middle Resolution support.
Thanks,
Al.
Thank you.